Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for The Amazing Spider-Man issue 35. That's a hell of a cover right there, and pretty much what's kind of going on in this situation. So, let's get to it. This is the conclusion of this for the moment. So, we shift up and we see that Norman is working on a way to help Peter and is working with Kraven. I've been here many times before, in my lab, engineering my fate. Kraven carved the shaft himself, enchanted it with ceremony to hold my sins. They yearn for you, but the spearhead was created to expel my misdeeds, and we must ensnare them. If you'd asked me yesterday, I'd have told you I don't know why I keep it. You know, this cursed weapon that eats sins. Don't do this. It will consume my darkness and the spear will hold it. Everything will be okay. Fool, lies. Kraven watches in judgment. He has decided he doesn't like guns. Because he's pretty much retrofitting and trying to make the spear take in the sins. We then shift over to Red Hook. As we still continue Norman kind of talking, he knows they often destroy the ones who wield them in regards to guns. And that kind of works out because we see the Hammerhead is doing his own kind of thing. And Red Hook. We've been bickering with the Owl over Red Hook for years. They're going to know it was us. No, they're going to think it was us. But we're going to tell Crime Master it was Diamondback, and we'll tell Mr. Negative's goons that it was Black Mariah. And before you know it, all any of them's going to know is that somebody's making moves. And if they want to keep their territory, they better be ready to fight for it. Won't take much of a push from here to tip us into a war. You're smarter than you look. And Hammerhead doing that kind of stuff, just setting up the gang war, that's a nice little thing that we've got to set up for what's going to be happening. So I kind of like that we had that before we shift into the Holland Tunnel and see everything going on. And this artwork really works very well with what goes on here with Peter and the Queen Goblin. And I just love the look that we get with Peter in the black costume. Who are they to look at me like this? Don't they know what I could do to them? Queen Goblin looking at me with pity. You're infected with the sins of Norman Osborn. Knowing how that feels, I can't leave you to carry this burden. Which I think is a kind of cool thing. Like, she's been a villain. And granted, her villainous scheme is what kind of led to this kind of outcome. But she's taking responsibility for it and being like, you weren't the intended person for this. And I'm going to try and help you. My mind is fire. I can't hear her over the roar, which is an interesting way to look at Norman through a Peter lens of what's kind of going on. That his mind's a roar of all this kind of shit. MJ looking at me with fear. Peter, she's the one who left me. That can't be for him. I hate her. I hate them all. And you see his eyes kind of go nutty, and then he smacks the shit out of her with like a guardrail. Makes me feel so alive as he's laughing. Paul, a word, as MJ tells Paul to run. What? No, run. He won't hurt me. Isn't that right, Peter, as she's utilizing her powers? And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Where'd you get that thing? Oh, right. He gave it to you. The weasel who took you from me. As we see his eyes shifting and changing as he's talking. That's an important thing with Spider-Man. I like that happens like this in the art style. I'm a big girl, Peter. Nobody took me anywhere. Then it was you, my jackpot. You betrayed me. Did you think you wouldn't pay? It's like she's got kind of some shield stuff going on. It's like, what the hell? Enough crying, boy. You've come to the end of my kindness. You won't rob me of my revenge. It's like, there we go. The kind of balancing act. She'll help him, but I want my revenge. And she smacks the shit out of Peter with her, like, goblin ball staff. And torches him a little bit. Now, granted, some weirdness that starts popping up is that he's able to get his mask whole again after this kind of panel, as it's kind of ripped open. I gave everything to prepare Osborn for his sins. If you won't return them, I'll tear them out with your throat. It's like, shit. So, you know how I'm kind of talking? It's like, oh, that kind of bit where she's like, I can't let you just handle, like, I can't do this to you. It's like, yeah, I'll kill you to get this shit if I need to. And MJ's like, no, thank you. I don't care what's gotten into him. No one's killing Peter Parker today. It's like, there you go, MJ. Too late for a romantic gesture, MJ. As he then starts going nutty-doo-dot, like, that is fucking gnarly, crazy looking. He's like, I'm gonna get him. There's only one thing that's going to square us. I'm going to hurt you as much as you hurt me. And that's the goblin ethos right there. Something I know works from experience. You never should have come to this world, Paul. You don't belong here. I'm not going anywhere. You do what you gotta do. Works for me. As he then drops him, it's like, no. Spider, this is unworthy of you. Do tell. As we see Craven pop up with the spear, and I like Spidey's eyes there to like, do tell. And then MJ's able to catch him, saying that she's got Paul. I'm sorry you two got dragged into this. I'll take it from here. Peter will be okay. Norman, what are you gonna do? I enjoyed getting to know you, Mary Jane, and I like the kind of art there where it's just he's sad about it, and it's just in the kind of shadows of like what they've got to do. And then I really like this kind of scene between what we get with Craven and then Peter unmasking himself and seeing what the kind of sins have kind of changed Peter's look. It's terrifying. It's like, what the fuck? And if anybody had like explained any of these arcs to me without context and actually letting me read and see this, I'd be like, this doesn't sound like this would be up my alley, but holy fucking shit, it just works for me. As we see, I hobbled you, Spider, poisoned you with evil meant for another. I've come to end this. I beat you easily, Craven, threw you into a grave for fun. I'm gonna hurt you so bad. I know. Come then, as we see Craven throwing himself at him as Peter's laughing like the goblin. And then we get this gnarly... These are just insane art pages right here. Just seeing Peter going ham on Craven and him just taking it. Did you get to drink your potions, tough guy? As we see the red eyes and like the manic look on Pete's face. It's just... It's so disturbing. It's like... Goblin Spider? That's a terrifying thing. You've been skipping your weird ceremonies? I'll start one for you. Gong, gong, as he's just beating the shit out of him. See what happens when you fight me fair? You've always been a cheater, and you were always a noble adversary. And him saying that is very interesting. Like him being a noble adversary, because Craven knows there were certain things that Peter wouldn't do. And that shows a depth of insight for Craven that's really awesome to see. It's like, huh. He kind of knows him. Why are you so happy? Heh, 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 as he's laughing. What are you smiling about as we see the red glowing even more in Peter's eyes? Ha, I'm grateful, Spider. I'm thankful for you. You put me in a grave with my father's gun, and I did not follow him. There was a voice in my head. The voice that took my father's mother. The voice that took him. It's gone, Spider. I faced the darkness, and I did not pull the trigger. I know this now. However I die will not be by my hand. That's crazy right there. That's a powerful thing. It's in, like, I can understand the silver lining kind of thing, but it was a horrible thing that Peter was doing not of his own volition, but Craven was still able to get out of that situation and understand that he faced the darkness that his father's mother had faced and his father had faced, and he won't do that himself. And I can understand why he is so happy about that. You have given me a great gift. I owe you this. I owe you your salvation, as we see Norman getting ready to strike. And he does, and my sins come loose, and I love seeing the goblin kind of leaving Peter like that. For a moment, I lose myself. I'm back in my lab, engineering my fate. My sins coalesce as if eager to come home, and it is done, as we see them swirl into the spear, but we'll see how that kind of works out. And see, Peter had his mask on before he took it off. That's where it kind of went weird. Like, it was kind of ripped, but I don't know how it came whole. Granted, more of a continuity thing, and it doesn't completely rip out the enjoyment of what's kind of going on. It's like, holy shit, learning all this stuff about Queen Goblin, about Craven, and then we see Pete and MJ just embracing. And MJ, I know. You didn't do anything wrong. I know, Peter, but I want to say it. You deserve to hear me say it. After all, MJ, what did I do? And I love Peter just being like, I'm sorry, and he has to make sure that his true feelings are known, not those goblin-infected ones. It's okay, Peter, that wasn't you. I must go before he collects himself. The spear. I will bind it in ceremony and bury it in the ground. I already have the hole. Neither it nor I will bother you again. You are free, Osborn. And that's cool. Like, they acknowledge each other like that. He believes that. You can hear it in his voice, but he doesn't see her in the distance. How long has she been watching? How long has she been smiling? And is it me, or is the smile content as she flies off? It's like, that's kind of weird. Days later, the damage to the Holland Tunnel proves again that our city doesn't have the resources to deal with supercrime. We have to do something. It sure doesn't look like it's going away, Norman. Randy is fired up. It doesn't have to go away, Peter. It just has to go away from you. Luckily, you were wearing a costume that's been associated with one Brock or another. They'll never know it was you, but it was. No, Peter, it wasn't. I know know that more than anyone. Take some time off. Get some rest. So, yeah. Oh, and I had to mention that this issue is $4.99. I think it's kind of beefier than usual. I was like, why is it? But we're concluding this arc. And I like that Norman's like, listen, that wasn't you. And that's the whole thing that people in those kind of situations have to wrestle with. It's, you were used by something else. It wasn't you doing those things. And you have to come to terms with that. And that's a hard thing to do, because you're like, my body was used, who I was used. But we'll see how Peter deals with it. Time off? I don't know, Norman. I found there's only one cure for a guilty conscience. And I do like that Norman understands that more than anyone else. And we see that Peter then suits up and swings out. And I just really like that page. It just really does Spidey justice. So then we end off with something more interesting on Norman. I did what I had to do. My sins are no longer in Peter. The spear was made to hold them, but I knew it wouldn't. The spear is not their home. I am. I had to save Peter. I didn't have time, but I knew, given the chance, my sins would come home. As we then see him look into the desk and see the goblin reflecting out and laughing, and then we see him laugh, hey, and he then puts his hand over his mouth, both hands over his mouth, and then we shift over to black and the end with a question mark. And then we get some more fan page letters, and then the cover for 36. So, I really enjoyed this issue because I was like, how are they going to deal with this? And seeing the kind of payoffs and the setups that we had the previous issue. Norman working with Kraven, actually working with the whole Sin Eater thing to have the thing for the spear, and dealing with Norman's sins, and how it just worked out with Kraven and Queen Goblin pretty much holding Peter into the position that he needed to be in for Norman to remove the sins and for Peter to come back to his senses. And it was just nuts seeing how he looked with the sins infected in him, how he was fighting Kraven and everything. It was nuts. And then Kraven being like, thank you. Even though this was a bad thing and I did not intend this for you, you gave me a gift and I want to return that gift by helping you out. And then Norman, being the new kind of person that he is, deciding to take the sins back and make sure that they wouldn't be used against someone like Peter again, or Queen Goblin, and what kind of goes on with that. It's showing that Peter's influence on Norman of trying to help people and do the right thing might lead to even kind of worse stuff later on, but he is trying to do the right thing. He has to deal with the Goblin, and I don't know if this will be complete status quo shifting him back to the Goblin. I would like them to have some kind of story where he does deal with it and either accept the Goblin and be that Goblin, or accept that part of himself and win out over it and try and do a new leap. There are a lot of different kind of ways, and it also depends upon the creative team and where that kind of goes with the character. But I liked this and how it was handled, because it could have been just really kind of stupid. And if you didn't like it, that's fine. I totally get it. Having essentially Spider-Goblin like this and all that kind of craziness that ensues is a hard thing to swallow and is a hard thing to execute well. I think it was executed well, and if you don't, that's cool. I totally get it, because you don't want to see Peter being Spider-Goblin. I really don't either. But it was interesting to see Norman and Kraven and Queen Goblin try and deal with this crazy situation and what the repercussions and consequences will be, because Peter works for Norman now. Norman has his sins back. How are they going to manifest, and what are they going to do, and what's Peter going to have to do? Is he going to have to wrestle Oscorp away from him? What's going to happen? How's Peter going to deal with this while also having to deal with the whole gang war that's going to be going on with Hammerhead going nutty dude on Nutty Day? So we'll see what kind of works out. I totally get not liking this run and what's going on with the creative team, but I've been enjoying it and having fun with it, which I did not expect as much. I was like, I was going to check this out, and now I'm 35 issues in, and still having fun, looking forward to what's kind of going to be going on and what kind of cool art we're going to get, because this was a nutty use of the black outfit, and I just love seeing the different kind of artists that they've been going on, and I I haven't been getting tired with the artist. It's nice that they've been able to rotate them so that way we get really kind of cool stuff that fits with the narrative arcs that we've been getting, and I can't wait to see what we get on next. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.